and welcome back, and welcome to Fiesta, where you can literally get anything and everything under the sun in one place. Here we got snow cones, electronics, eyebrow threading, furniture. Here's Grandpa Robbo looking at furniture. And the lovely music. You got food court. Actually, that's one box.
No puedo tener que decirle que voy a tirarla.
57 cents a pound. What, 2 boxes?
Yeah.
That would do us for ketchup and chili sauce and stuff. I mean, they're not that right, but they'll sauce down. Okay, so for this segment, what we're going to do is we're going to take all those tomatoes that we bought for 57 cents a pound, which is fabulous. Last year it was 50. It was 2 pounds for $1. Actually, 2 pounds for 99 cents. What it is that every once in a while they'll go on sale down there. Because it does take for me a little bit for me to get to that store. I do that about once, maybe twice a year because it's an hour and a half away. But if I find a need for being actually down there for other things, I can make it a day trip. So in this case, we have a day trip. I bought 2 of these boxes. We calculated these out to be approximately 53 pounds of tomatoes, and it cost me $28. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the little cores out, all of them, and then I'm going to blend all of this up, all of it. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and fill up every single container that I have with pureed tomato, and we're going to go ahead and cook it down and reduce it to half. That gives us tomato sauce. With the tomato sauce, we can do other things. I am going to go ahead and make some chili sauce because we use that more than barbecue sauce. And then we're going to go ahead and make some ketchup. And if we have any left over, I kind of want to do tomato jam this year. So hopefully we'll have enough for that. If not, that's fine. They're still going to be 50 cents a pound. All right. So now we have 1 box. That's 1 box. This is going to take a few days, so bear with me. We are now on day 2 of putting up the tomatoes. I have a full crock pot full of just diced tomatoes. I did not skin or seed any of this because it would take way too long. So I have these. I'm going to can these up as is. I'm just warming them up and getting everything reduced to where we can put these in jars. And we're going to have diced tomatoes. And here is the rest of that box of tomatoes. Dehydrating in saucing, what we're doing is that we're cooking off most of the moisture, or about half of the moisture, to be able to get this thick enough to make it a sauce. That's the reason why we want to cook this overnight. And then right here we have sliced tomatoes that I am going to go ahead and put in the dehydrator. What I'm doing here is I actually salted these to try to get these to sweat. I have them going into a bowl right here, and this is going to sit pretty much the entire day. And the juice I'm going to use for the juice, and then I'm going to put these in the dehydrator so we can have whole sliced tomatoes. And these, I do believe, will keep for 2 to 3 years dehydrated, properly stored. Okay, I got 4.5 quarts of diced tomatoes in the canner, and just waiting for that to boil. And here we have the 11 Roma tomatoes, sliced and dehydrated, and that should last us a while. Let's get in a better light here. There we go. Okay, so here we have all those tomatoes. Most of them I've already went ahead and made into sauce. I have, these are half-gallon jars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half-gallon jars, plus a little bit left. I've already gone ahead and dehydrated some of these, or the tomatoes that are in this jar. I have some for fresh eating, and I have some diced, which you've already seen in the canner, and I'll show you those whenever we are done. Okay, so now that we have all these sauced, we're going to go ahead and start processing them into other things. I do want to go ahead and let you know what the process was to dehydrate these tomatoes. This is 11 tomatoes, 11 of those Roma tomatoes. What I did is that I cut them up into slices, put them into my straining apparatus. I have my colander here. You want to save the or put a bowl underneath it to catch all the juice that falls out from them. You want to put a little bit of salt on the slices to be able to dehydrate these as much as you can before you put them in the dehydrator, or else it will take forever. So you're going to go ahead and do that. And I've also gone ahead and saved the juice. Now this is just tomato juice, just straight from these tomatoes that I dehydrated, and salt. I'm going to use this for like an electrolyte whenever I'm out in the garden and it gets really hot. I'm going to go ahead and use this as regular juice. So now that we have everything put away, the first thing I'm going to do is make some low sugar tomato jam. Now I am using the pink box. It actually says low sugar or no sugar. You can make no sugar jam. A little bit of sugar, a little bit of sweet would do this a little bit good. So in order to be able to do a full batch, you're going to need 1 box, 6 cups of the tomato sauce, 3 cups of the sugar, and a tablespoon of lemon juice. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do, and put everything in a pot. So for over medium heat, we're going to go ahead and put in 6 cups of the tomato sauce. 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice. And then we are going to go ahead and add the pectin. You don't want to add the sugar just yet. But you do want to get the sugar measured out and in a separate container, because whenever this does come up to a boil, that is whenever you're going to want to go ahead and add the sugar. Now notice that I put in everything cold. This is not warm up yet. Once the liquid warms up, it starts to cook the pectin. You want the pectin to be even out and not clumped. So that's why you want to put this in cold, just like the potato starch, corn starch, any type of other type of starch that you have out there. So that way you can go ahead and get everything nice and even. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get this to a boil. Okay, now that we have it boiling but not scorched on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and add the sugar. Okay, it looks like a lot of sugar, and it is. But believe it or not, the actual recipe called for 4 cups. I'm reducing this even further to 3 cups. If you do this with regular pectin, what'll happen is that it'll actually ask you for 8 cups of sugar. Don't need that much sugar. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and you want to go ahead and stir constantly. Do not let this settle. And what we want to see is a rolling boil that you cannot stir down. And that's going to take even more time. And once that happens, you want to keep stirring for about a minute, and then it will be ready to jar up. Now if you actually take a look, that sugar is starting to warm up, dissolve, take effect. The color of the tomatoes is actually getting deeper. That is normal. It's turning into a deeper red. The reason why I put lemon juice in this and not really anything else is to try to preserve the red color. Tomatoes on their own do not need lemon juice to put up, to water bath. You don't need to put lemon juice in there. Tomatoes have enough acidity in them and their own natural citric acid to be able to act as a preservative, so to the point where you don't need to pressure can, which is the reason why we're just using a water bath for all of our tomato products. Let's go ahead and keep stirring and stirring and stirring until it comes up to a rolling boil. See how I'm stirring but it's still bubbling? That's what we want. And we want to do this for a full minute. There will be foam that forms. That's normal. Okay, some people say to put butter in here to be able to keep the foam down. I like the foam. I embrace the foam. The foam is my treat. That is the cook's privilege in this house. Absolutely nothing wrong with foam. It spreads just like jam, just like jelly. And then you want to go ahead and turn off the heat. And there you have it. It's time to jar this up. And I'm going to show you a method of canning that is called open kettle. Okay, now that we have this nice and hot, you want to keep this hot. Okay, you can even pre-warm your jars. It's recommended but not required to pre-warm your jars. What we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and fill the jars. To that, I'm going to say 1/2 inch of headspace on this one. Because this is a different type of canning. We're not water bathing, we are not pressure cooking. Or pressure canning, sorry. Oop. Yeah, I've got a mess. I'm going to need more jars too. Actually, maybe. And hey, we've got enough for breakfast. A little bit more. Come on. There we go. So we're going to put this aside for, you know, bread. Let's get this cleaned up. Now, as soon as you clean up the edges like this, what you want to do is you want to put your lid and ring on immediately. Turn upside down. You want to do it to all of these. This is called open kettle. Or at least that's the term of it right now. It used to be called, you know, canning whenever I was growing up. Now you need to do this rather quickly. You don't want these jars to cool down that much. What you're doing is that you're turning these upside down and creating a softening up the seals. You can boil the lids to do this, to warm up the seals a little bit faster, to make a better seal. I've never really needed to do that. Because what I do, well, let's go ahead and get a new towel for this. Ouch. So we're going to take this. We are going to go ahead and wrap this up as best as we can, putting multiple layers of towels, even a blanket, over this. What this is doing is it's keeping the heat in as long as possible. That way the seals, it doesn't, the heat stays in there longer and creates a better seal for the jars. And you want, ideally you want this to sit overnight, and in the morning you can remove them and turn them right side up and they will all seal. But in the meantime, since we have more recipes to go through and only have today off for work, we're going to go ahead and kind of scooch these over a little bit. And I'm actually probably going to put these in another room while we go ahead and film the rest of everything. I wanted you to go ahead and think about all the tomato products that are in your home. You have ketchup, you have barbecue sauce, you have tomato soup, salsa, tomato paste, diced tomatoes, marinara sauce for spaghetti. Think about it. How much do you pay every year in your tomato products? And not only that, but some of those tomato products aren't all tomato either. I'm going to go ahead and show you this bottle, covering up the name brand. See how small it is? Okay, this is a 14 ounce. So about a jelly jar worth of ketchup. Well, guess what? This is an all tomato. This, about half of this is pure sugar. So basically this is tomato jam in a sauce. What we're going to go ahead and do here is make some organic, all natural ketchup with its own spices and not so much sugar. And it's not going to cost that much either. We're going to go ahead and make a half a gallon. And whenever a half a gallon, you know, we're going to make a half a gallon. That seems a lot. It's not in my house. Because a jar like this, right now, okay, I've cleaned this off and everything else. A jar like this is $4.50 full of half sugar ketchup in the store right now. This is twice as much. This is a 28 ounce. That's a lot of money. So we are saving money as well as making healthier recipes for a better lifestyle. Okay, so we've got a bigger pot here. What we're going to do first is we're going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil on the bottom of this. And then we are going to go ahead and on low to low medium heat, we're going to sweat out some onions. Now I had these onions laying around from a farmer's market. You want enough for about 2 onions, depending on your tastes. So we're going to go ahead and sweat these out. You want them lightly caramelized on low, and take your time with this. You don't want them to burn, you don't want them to scorch, you just want them to caramelize. Okay, now that we have the onions translucent and just about caramelized, we're going to go ahead and add in some garlic, ginger, salt, spices. Okay, so you want a good heaping spoonful of garlic, possibly 2. We'll do 2, because garlic. Stir that around a bit. Then we want to add about a thumb's worth of ground ginger. And to this, we actually want to add the allspice. Now, allspice is the only spice that we're going to add to this, besides, you know, salt, pepper, garlic, ginger. This, we want about a teaspoon. And about for the same for salt and pepper, but we're going to add the salt and the pepper after we add the tomatoes. Now we're going to cook this down, let this melt a little bit more, then we're going to add the tomato sauce. And we're going to add a whole jar, one of the half-gallon jars, to this. Okay, and now the sauce. And you want this to come up to become nice and warm. We're not necessarily bringing this up to a boil. But we do want to go ahead and add some apple cider vinegar. This is the stuff that I make. You want to add 1 cup. Okay, and then you're going to salt and pepper to taste. Now, if it's not thick enough for you, or if you desire a little bit more thicker, a more tomatoey taste, go ahead and add some tomato paste to this. Okay, add other spices to it if you need to. I'm actually adding a little bit of ground clove to this because I like a little bit of clove in my taste in my ketchup. And a little bit of ground cinnamon. Not too much though, this stuff spreads. Okay, now, if you notice, I have not added anything sweet to this. Right now, it is just flavored tomato sauce. I'm going to go ahead and use my stevia liquid to taste. The original recipe that I had called for honey, but because of certain dietary needs now, we're going to go ahead and substitute. And you're going to go ahead and substitute stevia to taste. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and let this sit for a minute. Let everything meld, warm up. Then we're going to get the immersion blender and we're going to make this smooth. Alright, that's starting to bubble, so we're going to turn off the heat. And take our immersion blender and blend. Clean up our mess. And there we have half gallon plus a little bit of ketchup. This should last a while. I'm not going to say it's going to last an entire year, but we'll see. Now we're going to go ahead and jar this up, and we're going to water bath these. Now you're going to water bath these at a rolling boil for 20 minutes per pint or 35 per quart. You do not need to pressure can any of this that I'm doing today. Now that we have the ketchup jarred up, I'm doing these in pints. I'm waiting for the water to start boiling so we can go ahead and process those. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get the chili sauce made up and jarred up as well, so we can go ahead and process those right after the ketchup is done. Now this is a similar process, but not quite. The chili sauce is going to be a little bit thinner than the ketchup, but it still does call for 4 quarts of tomatoes, which is a half a gallon, I think. No, it's a gallon. I'm making a half a batch. Okay, so half a gallon of sauce. You want to warm this up on medium. Again, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. If you ask about this is a 1/3 cup. My 1 cup is drying right now. So 1 cup apple cider vinegar. Now I have in here some 1 medium onion chopped up, And we're going to leave this chunky. I like a little bit chunkier chili sauce. I am not going to go ahead and use the immersion blender for this. So this is a little bit different process. This is basically a throw together. Spoonful of garlic. Get in there. Now we're going to add Worcestershire sauce. To this we're going to add 2 tablespoons. I don't use Worcestershire sauce much in my cooking, but it does add a interesting flavor. And for this, we're going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon of chili flakes to your taste. You don't have to add this if you don't want to. I like my chili sauce a little bit spicy, not too much. And then salt and pepper to taste. I'm not going to add pepper to this. I've already added the chili flakes to it, so it's going to make it enough. Have enough spice to it for me. And then again, stevia to taste. Supposed to add sugar to this. We're not adding sugar. Now you don't have to use stevia. You can use monk fruit, aleos, anything but the ones, the sugars that will actually harm you. Sucralose, maltodextrin, let's see, there's a whole bunch of them. Now erythritol is a grain sugar. It's made, I do believe, from birch. It's either that one or xylitol. Xylitol is compliant, but I do believe erythritol is partially compliant. So the carbs that you would get from something that has erythritol, you would half that. Okay, that's perfect. And same thing, we're going to bring this up to a boil, turn it off, jar it up, and put it in the canner. And that is chili sauce. That's basically it. Alright, now that we're almost done canning that, I'm going to make some vinaigrette because I'm hungry and I want, lunch. The rest of the sauce that I have about 2.5 more gallons, or 2.5 more jars of sauce. So about a little over a gallon of regular tomato puree sauce that's been boiled down. I'm just going to can those for later use. I am not going to do anything special with them. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and show everything after it's all nice and cold and washed and pretty. So far, 5 pints of ketchup, 5 pints of chili sauce. We have the 8 jelly jars of tomato jam, and we have 4 quarts of tomato with basil that you saw me do in the crock pot, along with an extra pint of that as well. And then we're going to go ahead and make lunch. So what we're going to go ahead and do is bring this down, Hopefully you'll see that. Now this does ask for a pint of tomato sauce. I'm going to just use the rest of this. I don't recommend canning this. It's going to have oil in it. You don't can anything that has oil in it. You can try if you're comfortable doing that. I am not. We're going to go ahead and add some shallot. I'm going to add some parsley flake. About 2 to 3 tablespoons. So you can see that. Another spoonful of garlic. A little bit of salt and pepper, not too much. Just a taste. Just a taste. And then you're going to measure out half a cup of red wine vinegar. Red wine vinegar. And you want a 2-to-1 ratio whenever it comes to olive oil to vinegar, always. So we have a half a cup of vinegar to 1 cup of olive oil. And this is the reason why I don't recommend canning it. Now you want to whisk this really, really well to try to get it all mixed up. Still don't recommend immersion blender unless you like creamy type of salad dressing. I kind of want mine chunky. But you want to mix this up all nice and well. To where it's all integrated and looks more like salad dressing. You want to taste it, see if it needs anything. If not, you've got salad dressing and just put it in jars and put it in the refrigerator. A little bit extra salt. Other than that, that's good. But that's actually pretty good. And that is salad dressing. That's what lasts a while in our house. We do like our salads. And this will go. This is what you can do with your garden tomatoes if you have enough. Okay, so we're done. Thank God. 3 days. It took 3 days to do this. Okay, we have 4 quarts of diced tomatoes with basil, plus a pint extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pints of ketchup with a little bit extra. This is going in the fridge. 10 pints of regular tomato sauce. Okay, just plain tomatoes boiled down to a sauce. Here is the tomato juice and the dehydrated tomatoes that I took out of that. Five pints of chili sauce. Chili sauce I like better than barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce has a richer, deeper flavor to it. This is light in comparison. And then 8 jars of jam. This is tomato jam, low sugar. And then 2 of these larger bottles of tomato vinaigrette. That's a lot of tomato, and we still have some for fresh eating. So hopefully this will last a year, because I don't want to do this until next year. That'll be it for this week. Hopefully next week we'll be able to get some other things done that we are needing to make around the house. Yeah, I'll have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time.